Hey, what's going on, basketball fans? Day 3 of NBA free agency is upon us. I'm Harrison Graham. He is Jimmy Crowther. Relatively slow day 2 after fireworks on day 1, but all eyes continue to be on Kawhi Leonard as he makes his decision sometime in the next couple of days or so.
Yeah, we'll see. The smoke started to rise yesterday, but never saw the fire. Hopefully we see it here today on day 3.
Lots of rumors surrounding Kawhi and plenty of other players, and we're going to get to those right now. Kawhi to the Lakers? Is it trending? It appears that it could be gaining some traction.
Yeah, it continues to be talked about more and more. Just everywhere you look, it's like, okay, well, he's meeting with the Lakers. There was a positive meeting with the Lakers. They're gaining traction. At first, it seemed like they were a distant third. Now, all of a sudden, they might be at the top of his list.
Yeah, Brian Windhorst of ESPN said last night, while he still thinks the Clippers are the front runner, which is a bit of a surprise to me, he does think the traction to the Lakers is significant. Kendrick Perkins has doubled down, recently NBA player, called Kevin Durant to the Nets a couple of weeks ago, so he's obviously well connected. He says Lakers hold the upper hand, so it certainly appears that Kawhi to the Lakers could happen. Obviously, we know what type of player he's getting coming off that year in Toronto. Obviously, Finals MVP, has won multiple championships. Lakers holding out hope that he can be the third piece of that big three.
Yeah, and an underrated aspect of all this is when/if Kawhi Leonard does sign in LA, then they start chasing all these second-tier, third-tier guys, and they get them for cheap. And everything is just going to be a trickle-down effect because the first domino fell really early. And we saw all the first 1.5 tier kind of guys go. But now there's a ton of other guys waiting to see what Kawhi Leonard does.
Yeah, and a lot of those guys have already been signed, so that market's getting thinner and thinner for the Lakers. So they're clearly all in on Kawhi. Obviously the Lakers are in, the Clippers are in, Toronto Raptors. Those are the final 3 teams in the mix for Kawhi Leonard, and it appears that the Lakers might have taken the upper hand. I want to take a look at some potential lineups depending on which teams he goes to. Obviously, with the Lakers, this is what you're looking at here. Your big 4, LeBron, Kawhi, AD, Kyle Kuzma. Plug in any veteran shooter at the 2. I think that's what you're looking at there. We got LeBron penciled in at the 1 because he's going to be the primary ball handler in that situation. A couple of bench guys. They drafted Horton Tucker, just signed Troy Daniels, a guy who can hit some threes off the bench for LA.
Yeah, and heck, even at this point, I would almost feel comfortable just letting Troy Daniels start and just be a shooter to go sit in the corner because it literally does not matter what happens with that last spot in LA if you secure Kawhi Leonard. Now, the Lakers are already offseason winners just by getting Anthony Davis alone. But you want to talk about hitting a home run, a grand slam, you get Kawhi plus AD, and things have completely shifted, not to mention all the veterans and discount players you'll get when Kawhi comes to LA.
Now, like the Lakers, the Clippers are all in on Kawhi at this point. They did not get Kevin Durant as they were hoping, so this is what a lineup with Kawhi for the Clippers would look like. Of course, Alexander and Pat Beverly in your backcourt. You plug in Kawhi Leonard at the 3, Montrezl Harrell, Gallinari. Obviously, that Lou Williams on the bench, crunch time, he's going to be out there as well. Landry Shamet at a piece that can slide to the bench in that scenario. So both LA teams jockeying for the best free agent left on the market in Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, and in all honesty, the Clippers have the better all-around team right now. They're already built out. They have 2 Sixth Man of the Year candidates. They have a prized second-year player in Shai Gilgeous. And then, heck, even if they keep Gallinari at that point, that's a valuable shooter along with Shamet. And then Mo Harkless was a valuable pickup as well. I actually like the Clippers team a lot, but obviously the Lakers have the star power.
Yeah, Lakers star-driven. Clippers have more depth. Well, if he decides to run it back, pretty similar lineup to what it would be last year. You put slide Norman Powell in there at the starting shooting guard. You got Kawhi, Lowry, Siakam, Gasol. I think Siakam's primed to take that next step as well, probably be an all-star next season. You keep Fred VanVleet on the bench. OG Anunoby, who was not a factor down the stretch, he'll be back from injury, so that is certainly an option for Kawhi as well. We want to ask you guys, which team will Kawhi sign with? Type TOR for the Raptors, type LAC for the Clippers, type LAL for the Lakers. I'm starting to lean Lakers. I would like to see him run it back in Toronto for one more year, but I would lean Lakers there, Jimmy.
I'm with you. You had asked me, if you asked me right after the finals, I would have said, hey, he's going back to the Raptors absolutely no matter what. If you had asked me halfway through last season, I would have said the Clippers no matter what. I never would have said the Lakers until this past week. Things are continuing to develop and continuing to trend their way.
Well, it definitely appears that Vegas thinks the Lakers have a good shot at Kawhi. Championship odds on your screen. The Lakers plus 220, Raptors plus 700. So they think those are the two front runners. You got the Bucks at plus 700, the Rockets at plus 900, and then the Golden State Warriors at plus 1,000 odds. 76ers at plus 1,000 as well. You got the Clippers at plus 1,300, Nets and Celtics at plus 1,600, and then Denver coming in at plus 1,800. Hey, you like giveaways? You like NBA jerseys?
Love it.
So do I. Go to MyBookie, chatsports.com/NBA now, promo code ChatNBA. Get that 100% bonus. You put $100 down, you'll get $100 for free. If you sign up and deposit and place that first bet, you will get a free jersey. Email promo at chatsports.com. Again, that's chatsports.com/NBA now. Use that promo code ChatNBA. Sign up, deposit, place that bet. You'll get a free jersey today. All right, let's get more NBA rumors coming your way. Day 3 of free agency. Danny Green to the Mavericks. This one continues to heat up, Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, coming from Harrison Sanford, not Harrison Graham over here, but Harrison Sanford, who's actually Danny Green's co-host on their own podcast, so obviously he's pretty well connected to Danny Green. He said early this morning that the Mavs are in a, quote, strong position to get Danny Green, and he also added that it almost doesn't matter what happens with Kawhi Leonard. The fallout, the Mavs feel good about it, and Danny Green and his, quote, camp like the idea of his role in Dallas. They feel like he has a defined role already ready to go. He can plug in right away, be a shooter alongside Doncic and Porzingis. It makes a lot of sense on both sides in all reality.
Yeah, and Sanford also talked about he would have a key leadership role and defensive game planning role with the Mavericks, because you look at their core, it's young guys, Luka, Porzingis, Jalen Brunson, Hardaway. These guys are young. You bring in a Danny Green, a guy who's been a part of championship teams. He will provide some of that veteran leadership, and perhaps most importantly, it's the three-point shooting that he would provide. Shot 45.5% last year. But here are some of the teams that would be in the mix if it's not the Mavericks. Of course, the Lakers would be interested. The Raptors, if Kawhi goes back there, I think that's still a possibility. Clippers, a distant fourth there. But Danny Green to the Mavericks makes a lot of sense, and I think their advantage too is I think they would be willing to offer a little bit more money than a Los Angeles Lakers would, than obviously a Raptors would if he stayed up there. Clippers could offer a little bit of money. I don't think they would offer as much as the Mavericks though.
Yeah, I mean the Mavericks have so much money to spend. They have upwards of $20 million left ready to go, and Danny Green needs one more big payday. I mean, this is kind of his last chance. He's 32 years old, but he's coming off an incredible year shooting. He's an incredible defensive player, and like you said and Sanford said, he's a great leader in the locker room, and that's kind of what the Mavericks need right now, and they need someone that has been to the NBA playoffs, someone that has that championship experience, so they can go out and lead, these young guys and hopefully help the Mavericks make a push.
Yeah, and more from the Mavericks' perspective. They already signed Seth Curry yesterday, brought him back. You bring in Danny Green as well. That's two of the top three-point shooters from last season, and that's what the Mavericks need. They need three-point shooting and defending. Curry's not going to provide much on the defensive side of things. You bring in Danny Green, you're feeling good about. He's clearly the best 3-and-D guy left on the market. Had a great season last year. Don't downplay his impact on the Raptors in their playoff run. I think he would be an excellent get for the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, I agree. And there's going to be other teams chasing him still. We know the Clippers, Lakers, and the Raptors all would love to have him back. And the Mavs are never guaranteed to get anybody even when they feel like the favorites. So who knows what happens with Danny.
We'll have to wait and see, especially when it comes to the Dallas Mavericks. Make sure you're subscribed, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Get us to 125,000 followers. We're over 122,000. 122,082 is where we sit right now. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Subscribe today. We're going to be live throughout NBA free agency. NFL season's just around the corner with training camps happening later this month and then the preseason in August. So make sure you're subscribed at youtube.com/chatsportstv. More rumors heading your way. Isaiah Thomas has found a new home in Washington.
Yeah, how about that? I didn't have any really idea where Isaiah Thomas would go, but he goes to Washington, where I would assume he's the starting point guard now with John Wall sitting out, and he gets a chance to prove himself. This is like his year to say, hey, I still have something left in the tank. the injuries and whatever, I can play. So that's really why he's going to Washington. It's just a chance for him to prove himself for at least one more year. 5'9", the guy's undersized. There's no doubt about that. But his biggest issue has been injury.
Yeah, they also brought in Ish Smith on a 2-year, $12 million deal, so they may stagger those minutes, might play some two-guard lineups, especially with IT being undersized. But yeah, with John Wall out, probably going to miss most of, if not all of next season. An opportunity for him to probably be a big playmaker on an awful team, which is kind of what he needs to rebrand his career. An opportunity to play a lot. He tweeted out that he needed the right opportunity. D. Wade tweeted out support that he needs the right opportunity. So maybe Washington's the right opportunity for him, because his last season in Denver, limited sample size there, was not pretty. Played his way out of the rotation come playoff time. You came up with a fun question, Jimmy. Who is the better fun-size player? Type N for Nate Robinson, type I for Isaiah Thomas. I love me some IT, but I miss me some Nate Robinson.
I do too. I love watching him in the big three. I'll say it. I think Nate Robinson is a fun player. Longevity, Nate Robinson has the edge. But when you talk about the peaks of their career, Isaiah Thomas was a freaking MVP candidate at one point.
Averaged 30 points one year.
Nobody would believe me if I said that. If you looked at Isaiah Thomas now on the Denver Nuggets, he was actually an MVP candidate. So, look, I love Nate Robinson, but the better player has been Isaiah Thomas. I'm giving it to Isaiah Thomas here.
Yeah.
Also, you could throw in fun-sized guys like Muggsy Bogues, JJ Barea. There's other small guys that, hey, if you like them, go for it.
Lots of ends in the chat, I think.
Yeah.
Lots of Nate Robinson fans. Yeah, you can watch him in the Big Three in Ice Cube's league. He is balling out in that. A few eyes in there. Got
Calvin Bradford is in agreement with me. He says I. Jinzo says I. I don't know. Mastermind's watching us. He says in for Nate Robinson. Gabriel says in for Nate Robinson.
TJ McConnell's
He's
not quite fun-sized, though.
Not quite.
He's around 6 foot.
Not quite. Yeah, he's too big to be fun-sized.
We appreciate the McConnell love as well. More rumors your way. Anthony Tarr, I guess, is more in the news category. Some signings here. 1 year, $2.6 million deal with Portland. They're trying to add some shooting.
Yeah, I mean, you let Myers – well, you didn't let Myers Leonard walk. You traded away Myers Leonard, who was kind of a stretch big, even though he fell out of the rotation. And now Anthony Tolliver kind of takes over that spot. Also, this is sort of Portland's way of saying, we're still trying in this win-now mode, obviously, because he is a veteran, but he's a reliable one. It seems like everywhere Anthony Tolliver goes, he makes some kind of an impact, usually shooting off the bench. He shot 37.7% from three last season with Minnesota. Interesting guy. It's just kind of a, hey, when we need some shooting, we're gonna throw you in there.
He's an end-of-the-bench guy who, at least, he knows how to play. You check him in. He's been in the NBA a while. He can knock down an open three. These are the kind of guys you fill out your roster with, and that's what Portland is doing there. Some of their other additions in free agency, of course, they traded for Hassan Whiteside, got Mario Hezonja in free agency as well on a vet minimum deal, coming off a pretty decent year with the Knicks. We just mentioned Tolliver, drafted Nasir Little. Obviously, you lost a couple of those guys. Mo Harkless in that trade as well. You lose Seth Curry, Al-Farouq Aminu. Myers Leonard was part of that trade as well. So some guys in, some guys out. I think overall it's a kind of a net neutral depending on what happens with Whiteside.
Yeah, that's actually a big question mark, because Aminu, Curry, and Harkless all played vital roles for Portland, but I actually sneakily liked the Mario Hezonja signing, and if Hassan Whiteside becomes even 3/4 of what he was in the prime of his career, you're getting a bargain with Hassan Whiteside.
Yeah, he's certainly a wild card. Anthony Tolliver, if nothing else, providing some veteran experience there, give them some extra shooting on the end of their bench. Some other signings coming in late last night and early this morning. Real quick, actually, let's grade Portland's offseason. We just talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
A little up and down. A lot of roster turnover. I mean, your core's the same. You got Lillard, you got McCollum. Obviously, you got Nurkic is going to come back at some point. We mentioned some of those guys coming in, some of those guys going out. I think it's like in the B- range right now.
Yeah, I think it has potential. If Hassan Whiteside is a complete bust, he can't stay healthy, and he's a locker room issue, it could slip down to a C.
Right.
But right now it's at a B-. I also really loved the draft pick of Nasir Little. I know that doesn't factor into their free agency,
right,
but it factors into their overall offseason. So that's why I have them at the B- range, which with potential to fall down to a C if Hassan Whiteside is just terrible.
Yeah, it can shoot up or fall down depending on Hassan Whiteside. Quick NBA free agency tracker for you guys. Matt Thomas signing with Toronto on a short-term deal. Jordan Bell getting a one-year deal with Minnesota. Golden State still has time to match that offer sheet. We'll see what they do there. Kevon Looney's back in Golden State, 3 years, $15 million. We mentioned IT and Anthony Tolliver. Of course, Looney getting that 3-year deal to stay in Golden State. Critical for Golden State to kind of shore up that center position as they're very guard and wing heavy.
That actually really, really surprised me that he only got $5 million per year. I think that is a bargain for the Golden State Warriors. I think Looney's kind of taking, I almost want to say he's taking a discount to go back, but I also have no idea where any of his other offers were coming from. I know Kerr loved Looney as a vital piece of this franchise, and they brought him back, and I'd say it's a win for Golden State. And if Looney gets a starting 5 position, it's a win for him as well.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things where Looney's saying, yeah, could I have gotten the 8 to 10 million per range somewhere else? Probably, but probably not for 3 years, so he gets that security. And 2, I would expect him to have a bigger role on this year's team, especially until Klay Thompson comes back, because outside of D'Angelo Russell and Steph Curry, somebody's got to score.
Yeah.
And Kevon Looney might have an opportunity to do that. He already had a pretty nice season last year, 6-5. I think he could average in the 10 points per game range and maybe shoot those rebounds close to 10 as well.
I was going to say he could definitely be a double-double threat, because I don't know who else is going to rebound on that team besides Draymond Green. It's literally him and Green, but I'm interested to see what happens with Kevon Looney. I think he's a great player. I definitely don't think he's a scrub by any means.
Speaking of scrubs, who's the bigger scrub up here? Tom Downey's not in, so you got the scrub lineup. Type J for Jimmy, type H for Harrison.
I'd argue that Tom is the biggest scrub of us all, but since it's just us two up here, I would be throwing H in the chat for Harrison, because I know I'm not a scrub. If Carmelo Anthony was an option, of course, he would be the biggest scrub.
I think freezing cold takes might call you out on that one. Again, J for Jimmy, H for Harrison. Lots flying in. Lots of T's flying in.
For Tom.
Got a lot of H's.
But it sounds
not a big fan of my work.
Harrison is the biggest loser or biggest winner here? Winning loser, I guess.
The paychecks continue to clear. So
Blake
that's
spammed
important.
the J's there, so he's calling me the scrub. Calvin's got you as the biggest scrub here.
Flat Earther's got B. Is that producer Brett?
Producer Brett is the biggest scrub up here.
Dylan and Alicia aren't in yet, so D for Dylan, A for Alicia, T for Tad, if you want to call those guys out.
Or
I guess
T for Tom,
TAD for Tad, because Tom is a regular part of what we do. All right, let's get back to some of the rumors. Jordan Bell to the Timberwolves, mentioned it briefly earlier. 1 year, $1.6 million deal with Minnesota. I think Golden State might match, because they got to fill out their roster, and that's hardly anything against their cap.
Yeah, when this first broke, I was like, okay, good for him. He's getting a fresh start in Minnesota. He'll probably get some real good minutes there. And then I was like, wait a second, $1.6 million. How did he not get more than this on the open market? Because he was a part of a championship team. He had a great rookie season, and then maybe it was just a sophomore slump. But like, if you're Golden State, there's no reason not to match now.
Yeah, I mean, his rookie year, he played in the playoffs and played pretty well. And of course, last year, yes, he had a bit of a decline, but he's a piece that Golden State would certainly like to keep. And from Minnesota's point of view, you've gone from thinking you have D'Angelo Russell to praying that Golden State doesn't match on Jordan Bell. It's been a quick turn for the Timberwolves.
Yeah, they're right back where they started, basically, if not in a worse position. You know, they just lost Derrick Rose. As weird as that sounds, he
18 points last year.
He was 18 points per game off the bench for them. Like, oh man, you can't say it. Now, Harrison, you weren't here yesterday, but our chat was blowing up with people just cheering for Pachulia. Not gonna say his first name, but this guy, or the hotel, I guess, if you want to think of that. But either way, you can't say it in the chat. I banned it, but producer Brett wants you all to say it. I'm banning it. I can't stand it because it just keeps blowing up like they want him to go somewhere. I don't know where he's going to go. I don't care where he goes.
They're flying in. Tripper Pachulia is not a big fan among Jimmy and myself.
Tripper Pachulia.
Rookie news, Zion Williamson signs his rookie contract with the Pelicans, 2-year deal plus 2 years of team control. And he would, of course, become a restricted free agent in 2023.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious that we're already talking about when Zion becomes a restricted free agent. But, he got the deal officially locked up. So don't worry, guys. He's not going back to Duke or anything like that. He's officially staying in New Orleans. He will be the new franchise centerpiece there and making a nice chunk of change here early on in his rookie year. But Man, I'm excited to see what Zion Williamson does next season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you look at the contract breakdown there, almost $10 million as a rookie over 10 year, $10 million his second year, $10 million again his third season. That goes up to about $13.5 his fourth year. Then they can give him the QO where he would become a restricted free agent. He's not the only rookie to sign. Here's some notable ones. Ja Morant has also signed. Darius Garland with the Cavs. Kobe White and Rui Hachimura have signed their rookie deals as well. Cam Reddish, Lucas Imanic, Nasir Little, Dylan Windler, and Keldon Johnson. So about 10 rookie first-round picks so far have signed. We'll continue to update those as they come in.
And I found it interesting, actually, if we're just going to point something out interesting with this list, is Lucas Imanic actually did sign his rookie deal. Because for a while, everybody thought he might be a draft and stash guy, but the Spurs are ready to see him play.
Yeah, and I think San Antonio is probably one of the few teams he would come over for early. Question for you guys. Who you taking for Rookie of the Year? Type Z for Zion, F for the field, because it does feel like it's clearly Zion's to lose in New Orleans.
You would think, but I will say this. If RJ Barrett goes out in New York with like all the players that they signed, he has a chance to put up gigantic numbers and compete for that Rookie of the Year spot. So, hey, if you do type F for the field, I want you to also predict who it's actually going to be, because that's kind of a weak, spineless move to just say the field.
I just think that with what the Knicks have done and the veterans they've brought in, they don't want to put a lot of pressure on RJ Barrett.
That's fair.
We're all laughing at what the Knicks have done, but they have brought in veteran players who know how to play. I don't think RJ Barrett's going to have a ton on his plate as a rookie. They do not want to put that on him.